My mom and her friend spent the day at the beach in Florida. The friend that drove had to go to work, but they stayed and said they would walk home. They were walking back and it was burning hot, in the high 90s. A white pickup truck drove past them, then slowed down and made a U-turn. He stopped to talk to them. I should preface this with the fact that my mom and her friend were both drop-dead gorgeous and wearing bikinis and shorts. They said the truck that stopped was driven by a young man that was very handsome and probably in his late 20s. He offered them a ride. My mom, who was always wary of strange men even back then, said no. But our friend started to whine and said, "Come on, it's hot. We have another mile to go. It'll just take a few minutes." My mom still didn't want to go, but her friend climbed in the truck. My mom didn't want to leave her alone, so she reluctantly climbed in the front seat with her friend in between her and the man. Her friend was a chatty Cathy. She talked away to this guy without paying attention to anything around her. My mom had a bad feeling. I noticed the man still hadn't turned his truck around and was heading out to the dunes, where there was nothing but deserted beaches for miles. She looked over and realized he had pulled all of his junk out of his pants and was masturbating. My mom instantly became angry, and she grabbed the door handle and opened the door. She said, "You need to stop this motherfucking truck right now and let us out, you sick fuck." At the same time, her friend snapped out of it and saw what was going on. She flipped her shit, and according to my mother, dove straight over her and out of the moving truck. As she jumped out, the man tried to grab her and only got a hold of her bikini top, so that came off. She said she watched as her friend hit the ground, and it was like slow motion. The man then began to speed up. My mom was looking at how fast the ground was moving, and he says, "You can stay in here with me or you can jump out. You're gonna die either way." That was enough for my mom. She jumped out and skid across the road. Her entire left side had road rash from head to toe. She lay to the ground dazed and wondering if she was going to die. Her new topless friend ran over to her screaming, "Get up, he's coming back." My mom rolled over and looked in time to see him doing a U-turn and speeding back to finish what he started. Her friend helped her back up and they ran towards the beach. They just happened to jump out right where the lifeguard station was. They were greeted by lifeguards, many of them their friends who administered first aid. My mom went through months of healing and had a sprained ankle. Her friend was unharmed, and the man was never caught. This happened about 8 years ago in my local supermarket. I, female 36 at the time, I'm in line to pay. It is a Saturday morning, super busy, and I'm second in line. In front of me, at the till, is a family of 3, mom, dad, and daughter. Mom and dad are unpacking the trolley, and daughter is sitting in the trolley seat facing me. Behind me are 2 men, and they were making me super uncomfortable, standing way too close to me. You know, when you feel someone before you've seen them, it was like that. I was facing the daughter, and she looked super uncomfortable, making herself smaller and kept looking over her shoulder to her dad. I turned around and these men are waving and smiling, trying to get her attention. Then the one guy reaches around me and touches her foot. He did it in such a familiar way that I thought he must know the family. She flinched away. He does it again. She quickly says, "Daddy." Dad swings around and says in a booming voice something along the lines of, "What the hell, dude? Don't touch my daughter." This weirdo is like, "But we want to be friends." The dad is like, "I don't know you, back off." I realize they don't all know each other and instantly go into mommy mode. Dad goes back to unpacking the trolley and I position myself between the 2 guys and daughter, completely blocking the access. Believe it or not, he tries to get her attention again. So I say really loudly, "You are so lucky that you have such a brave and strong daddy. Look how he is protecting you from these bad men." The dad looks at me, and we have a silent conversation with our eyes. They pack up and leave quickly. I thought it was over. The girl is safe. As I'm unpacking my trolley, I suddenly notice that one of the men has moved around and is standing at the end of the till, where you pack up your groceries and bags, staring at me with pure malice. The other guy was still standing behind me, in line. My trolley between us. I won't lie, in that moment I felt intimidated, kind of terrified. I'm not a small woman. I'm a tallish, with very broad shoulders and quite strong. Anyway, in my trolley is about a 15-pound bag of dog food. My adrenaline is pumping. I need to show these guys that I am not an easy target. I make eye contact with the aggressor at the end of the till, and I lift this bag of dog food up like it was a roll of toilet paper. My facial expressions doesn't change. No strain, no tension, just deep and dark. He keeps eye contact with me. Now I am angry. The fear is gone. I pay, and he blocks my exit from the till. I bump him light with my trolley. He laughs and moves out of the way. I decided not to go straight to my car. I walk around the mall a bit, and every time I turn around, they are there. Now with a third guy. They're not even hiding the fact that they are following me. The one guy makes a motion of cutting my neck. Fuck this. Started making my way to the security desk. When I get there and turn around, they're gone. I tell security everything. They recommend I let the supermarket know as well. Give them my till number so they can review the security tape above the till. A guard escorted me to my car. I drove home the long way, checking my rear view mirror constantly. I never saw them again, but in honest, I stopped going to that supermarket. Partly because of that, but mainly their prices are not competitive, and my dogs become fussy eaters. When I was 7 and my brother was 4, we would always go play at the park next to our house. We lived in a very sketchy neighborhood, but my mom thought it was fine for us to play alone because the park was very close to our house. So one day we were playing at the park, minding our own business, when a kid who looked about 5 or 6 came up to us. He seemed a bit uneasy. He asked us what game we were playing, and if he could play. We were playing Grounders, and it isn't very fun when you only have 2 people. So we let him play. After a while, he asked if we wanted to be friends. Being little kids, we said yes. So then we played Grounders some more, and after a few minutes, he said, "Do you guys want to come to my birthday party? My house is really close, and today is my birthday." My mom had always told us to ask her before going to someone else's house, so I told him I had to ask my mom first. Then he ran off the playground, towards a man standing towards the edge of the road. This man had been watching us play for a while, but I hadn't really registered it as possible danger. After a minute, the kid came back and said, "My dad says you can come to my birthday." I told him I would have to ask my mom. Then he ran back to the man. When he ran back, he said, "My dad says you have to come to my party because we are friends, and it would be fun, and we can have cake, and he can drive you there." Then this kid took my hand and started leading me towards the man, who started walking towards us. I felt weird, and so I grabbed my little brother, and we ran home. Then we watched through the window as the man and the kid got into a big truck and started driving away from the houses. We lived in the outskirts of a small town, so there was nothing for miles and miles. It was insane. To preface this post, I grew up in an upper middle class family. My dad was a young professional, and my mom was next level taking care of 3 kids and being a GM for my dad. Then shit hit the fan and they divorced. At this point in time, I was in junior high, grade 7 or 8, and I had recently gotten bus privileges. I was busing to school back and forth on my own with no issues, being an independent teenager and giving my mom a break, single mom of 3 kids. Now, the bus picks me up and drops me off at the exact same spot, at an intersection on a main road which intersects with my residential road. It's literally a 1-minute walk to my house. Now, growing up, my mom talked to us about stranger danger. Yet, despite that, I led a fairly sheltered life up to this point. I was overall a very talkative, nice kid. I could strike up a conversation with anybody, and usually my guard wasn't really up per se. I tended to just trust everyone, even if I just met you for the first time. On this fateful late afternoon, the bus dropped me off at the usual spot. I was minding my own business, walking towards my side street, when I heard a voice of a woman. Little boy, it's cold outside." I turned around, and that's when I saw the white cargo van. The woman was practically leaning out of the car. She was dressed rather nice, all black, fairly young, nice big smile. The cargo van doors were completely swung open, and she was leaning out. I strongly believe in sixth sense, your gut, intuition, whatever you want to call it. My gut was telling me to get home, to walk faster, to create distance. "It's cold outside. Let us drive you to your house," she said. "No, it's fine. My house is just down the street," I pointed. She was persistent. The van slowed down more and more, and she was leaning out further. I was practically walking on the gravel at this point. She kept on talking to me, but I was no longer listening. I wanted to get a better look. I wanted to see what she was trying to hide in the cargo van. You see, she was leaning in such a way where she was obstructing my view of what was inside, and as I walked, she kept shifting. I managed to sprint fast enough and get ahead of her. That's when I saw him. There was a man crouching behind her, out of view. I remember seeing his body. He was hunched, ready to pounce. When I saw him, that's when everything sank in. They were trying to grab me. I'll never forget the face of that woman. She went from cheerful and happy to sour in an instant. She dropped her acting, slammed the door, and sped off. As an adult, I am convinced this was a planned act of opportunity. Around that time, we had a series of kidnappings in my city. All kids my age reportedly with the same white cargo van. In this instance, they followed a bus and just waited for the perfect moment to strike. I could have easily been one of those missing kids on a milk box. I still get chills when I think about it to this day.